I call it disappointment, like the type 7's disappointment. But the superpower of the type 7 is that they can reframe it and get over it. But when it gets dumped on, like when there's a lot at once, it's really hard for us. Or if it's something that can't be reframed, like a diagnosis or just something that's just sad and hurtful and there's no way to spin it, that will show up as a disappointment. So if it's something that's really heavy like that, or just a lot one after the other, where they get kind of backed up in the queue of processing, especially if it's very emotional. But type 7s get disappointed every day because of that low tolerance of why didn't this go my way?
So do you think Harry is a 7?
I have 7 with a question mark on there, but I don't know enough. Maybe we can discuss a little bit more of what happened in his book, because it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a couple months since I finished off his book. I want to jump ahead, though, speaking of his book, and just mention something about William in terms of homeopathically, because in the book, the way Harry describes him, he seems to have, this sort of calm, sort of consistent nature, and then every once in a while he gets really angry. Like he was mad at Harry because Harry got to grow a beard and he couldn't grow a beard because he was going to be king. So he couldn't grow a beard, but Harry got to have a beard when he got married. And, Grandma said it was okay.
Yeah.
And
that feels one-ish.
so that's Staphysagria. And that's all about suppressing emotions.
Yeah.
All about it. And it comes out as anger.
Anger.
It can come out as shaking. And I think that he might have even mentioned that about a William in there one time. Willie, I think he calls him Willie in the book. Yeah.
That feels one-ish.
Yeah.
That one particular moment. I mean, who knows?
Right.
Who knows what it really is?
It isn't about him, and there will never be a book about him, right? Because they don't do that. It's his own book.
And so let's assume that he is a 1. 1s tend to be anxious, which is interesting. Like I don't think everybody understands that 1s are anxious. They think that's reserved for 6s or reserved for 5s. People don't think that 7s are anxious, but they're in the anxious triad. But 1s are like the self-pres 1s. I imagine like Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh. Just a lot of nervous energy because they want things to be right. They want things to like, it can look kind of 3-ish because it's like, reputation. Like, we want to get it right. What will people think? That kind of, that feels kind of 3-ish, but that's a self-pres 1. And it's because, of course, it always comes back to the motivation. So the motivations of a 1 is, I am good. I'm not a bad person. And so they want to be proper. I like that word. That's the word I use in my book. And so their motivation is to be proper. Here's a system. We need to follow it. But where they want to be is they want to be in the 7. That's their security. So I wanted to grow a beard, but I can't. And if I had done it, it wouldn't have been proper. So therefore I didn't. And then the stress number for a 1 is 4, which is a little bit more dramatic. The glad, sad, mad 4. So it's a little bit more dramatic. And so I can kind of see that pattern there in that one instance that you're describing.
Sounds like the 1s fit into a, what in homeopathy we'd call a cancer miasm. So miasms are categories of diseases. And Dr. Hahnemann came up with 3 of them, but we're a lot sicker now than we were then.
Right.
In a lot of ways, it was a lot more acute back then than it is now. And now instead we get chronic illness. But there's a perfectionism in the cancer miasm.
Yeah.
And Staphysagria is in that miasm.
Yes. And also, just a little bit about 1s. I don't go into all of the triads in my book, but it is, the 1s are in the red triad, which is the body type. But one of the triads that I don't go into are these harmonic triads. And 1s are in the suppressive triad. And that's what they do. They suppress their emotions. They suppress their ideas and their thoughts. Like they even suppress their actions because they want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. And so that's where the anxiety comes from. Like, I want to be sure that I'm following the rules. That they're the like mega rule followers. Eights are rule followers.
If they make sense.
And ones are rule followers, but eights, they're the ones that make up their own rules. Okay. So it's kind of like, they are, my way is the highway. So they make up their own rules, and those are the rules that they follow. They will use societal rules. But if they don't agree with them for whatever reason, for that eight's experience or, just what they've had to cope during the nurturing of their personality, that can change. Like, I want to follow these rules, but if I don't agree with the rules because of a past experience, then I'm going to change the rules and then I'm going to follow those rules. That's a type A mentality. A type 1 is just give me the rules and I'll follow them, even if I don't agree with them. In private, I will vent that I don't agree with the rules, and I will lament that that's the one going to that 4. I will lament that I can't break the rules. That sounds very much like William, doesn't it? But their morals are based off of a standard that's outside of them, whereas 8s, their morals and their rules are based on a standard that's within them, their idea of what the rules should be.
That's interesting. It sounds a lot like Gretchen Rubin's. I think we talked about that the first time I was on. Yes, for questioners, that it's always an internal expectation, because even if someone has an external expectation, they turn it into an internal expectation, and then they'll respond to it because it makes sense to me, because they ask the questions and doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and ones they'll question, just not necessarily out loud. And even if they do question, and they'll still default to the rules. I was like, oh, well, I don't want to get in trouble. That's a big thing for type 1s. They don't want to get in trouble. And so it's safer for them to follow the rules than it is to break them.
That's really interesting. So there's a remedy, a Cali remedy, the rule follower remedies, that it's Cali bichromicum, and maybe you've heard of it. It's for like really sticky mucus and stuff. So mentally, they're really sticky too. Oh. And they're like the people who would stop for a red light in the middle of the desert at midnight.
Okay,
no one else is around.
I have a line to a 1. I can see myself stopping for a red light in the middle of the desert. But I'd be like,
a line to a 1, don't they?
I would sit there. 7s have a line to a 1. So in stress, especially if it's a desert I've never been to, I'm like in the desert and here's a red light, and I'm not sure if somebody's coming or if there's a camera or whatever. I'm also a counter type 7, so I tend to hang out with my 1 and 5 more. So I can totally see myself stopping at a red light, and then my son say, or somebody say, "Why are you stopping? We're in the middle of the desert." And I'll be like, "Okay," and I'll run the red light. Whereas I don't think a 1 would. I think a 1 would still be sitting there and need a lot of encouragement to. Like, it'll be okay, like justifying, a lot of justification that we're going to be here forever and we're going to be late to our function if we don't run this red light. And so then they would have to weigh, like, do I want to break this rule in favor of keeping this rule of like not being late, for example? And so that's why 1s are so anxious, and people don't see that. Yeah.
So I gave it to a little boy once who was an anxious boy, and he had asthma. That's why he came to see me. And you can imagine with all that sticky stuff, that if it gets in your lungs, that it could be problematic. But he used to tattle on himself. I'm like, oh, I know what you need.
Yeah. That could also be type 6.
Okay.
Yeah, because 6s are very responsible, and they're very humble also. And so that could be a type 6 like.
Well, I think this was more out of, I didn't follow the rules and you need to know. And I feel anxious about this. That I didn't follow the rules.
Because I don't want to be a bad person.
Right.
Yeah, that's more of a type 1. That's funny. Very, very cute. So I know you have you have a blog post about Harry already up on your website,
Right.
and one coming about the Queen, which should probably be out by the time this airs, right?
It should be. Yes.
So definitely we'll leave the link for that.
Okay. All right.
But yes, this has been such a fun conversation.
It has been great. It's been really fun.
I mean, I think this is what we did the first time we talked. I was like, oh, that could have been a good podcast episode. So yeah, definitely the next time you like come across something, like we should just hop on and just have a conversation about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've really learned a lot just talking to you, about the Enneagram more than just reading in your book. I've really learned a lot. So thank you.
It's a lot of fun. And of course, I can't put everything, I can't dump my brain into the book. I was actually talking about this yesterday during office hours. I was like, no, the first part is necessary to kind of get the context of the human psychology. And the second part is for if you don't know what your type is yet, but everybody that's in the membership, they know what their type, or the ones that are showing up for office hours, they know what their type is. And then the third part is more reference to kind of understand the default filters of each of the type in the 9 acknowledgement language, what it is that we're looking for to feel validated. And it's very subconscious. We don't know these are the things that we're looking for. Kind of like that one triad that's not in my book, but one suppressing. They're in that suppressive triad. And then the fourth part is where I think the real juice is really, now what? Now you know this stuff. How can I use it? And I would have loved to put all the details that I know about each of the types in there, but I felt like the framework was more important. Because if you have the framework as you learn about your personality and these nuances of just really not putting everything in a box saying, oh, this is only type 1. Like if you notice that, oh, my first reaction was that's type 1. Oh, but it also could be type 6. And just kind of understanding that behaviors are a spectrum, and our goal is to be able to identify each of the types' behaviors within us so that we can relate to other people. And that's how we communicate better. That's how we have empathy and compassion better. And in business, that's what we need in our marketing. Like people don't want to buy from us if they don't feel like we are relating to them. So that's really where the gold is really understanding the Enneagram in that way. So I'm glad that
That sounds like your second book.
My second book, I'm thinking, is going to be more journal-like and reflective. We'll see. It's still an idea, but yeah, there is going to be a second book. This year's going to be dedicated to the audiobook. Me recording the audiobook.
Oh, you're gonna. That's great. That would be so great to listen to.
Yeah.
As you're driving or something.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And I always offer commentary, so just having the extra commentary.
Yes.
As well.
Yes. That's what I do in the class when I do my membership, my acute care membership. Is we've got the handouts, but the commentary is the gold.
Absolutely.
Everything else is silver. This is gold.
Yeah. And I truly believe that. Like my book is a great reference book, but the gold is in the conversations about specific situations like we're doing here with these characters. We're looking at the specific situations. And even if William isn't a 1, we can identify that that's 1-ish behaviors. And let's say he's a 7. We can say, oh, if he's truly a 7, if he's portraying 1-ish behaviors, he is in stress. And so then we can relate to people that way and have more compassion and not be, so angry or offended or, these things that are cancel culture that's happening these days.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Right. So this has been so great. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you for having me here. And I appreciate that, we were able to just get this together so quickly. And, sometimes spontaneity is the best.
Especially for a type 7.
Okay. Well, thank you. And we'll be in touch.
Definitely.
Okay.